Okay, so I'm phoning the owner of a group of nurseries, and it's actually advertised via a broker, and they approached me on LinkedIn, and I'm particularly interested because they're all in a very tight geographical area. We're about to buy another one, so we'd end up with 4 within a few miles of each other. But I'm speaking to I haven't actually spoken to the broker at all. It's all been done by email, typical, and I'm speaking to the owner himself. So let's give Gordon a call.
Hello.
Hi, is that Gordon?
It is, yeah.
Gordon, it's Jonathan from Welcome Nurseries.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, how are you?
All right. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. You know, you have rung me before. You know.
I've rung you before.
You have. Yes, you have actually rung me before. I think it was about a couple of months ago, and I think you got the details off Blacks, haven't you? Regarding
today, it's Blacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how come we spoke before?
We have, yeah. It's 2 nurseries, a preschool, and a business centre.
But what were the circumstances under which we spoke before then?
Yeah, it was to do with potential. You know, I mean, you were obviously Welcome Nurseries buys nurseries, doesn't it? It's,
well, we own nurseries. Yeah.
Yeah, you acquire them, and I mean, I think I sent you an email just because we've got it obviously listed with Blacks.
Oh, so you contacted us, and then we had a chat after that, did we?
We
okay.
did, yeah.
Well, you have an advantage over me because I need to go back through my notes. I can't remember our call.
That's fine. That's all right.
In detail. So how did we leave it last time we spoke?
I think, I think the discussion went along the lines of something along the lines of because the leases we have with 2 of the nurseries are only 7-year leases, I think they are. Yeah, and you were pointing out to me that you tended to only buy ones that were 15-year leases, or at least that was the advice you were giving me. You know, that was a good lease to have if you were moving forward with selling your nurseries. And also, I think one of our nurseries is only a 46-place nursery, and our preschool's only a 26-place preschool. And I think you were saying that you tended to only purchase nurseries that were in the region of, was it over 70 perhaps, or 70 or over 60 place?
Yeah, it depends really. It's a kind of it all.
Yeah. So
okay.
And I think the price that we've got it with Blacks was wasn't really the price that you guys would be looking at. You'd be tending to, if you were interested, I think you'd probably be only offering me around the 300 grand mark or thereabouts or something like that. I think that was what we were discussing.
This conversation's starting to come back to me. Yeah. That was a few months ago, I seem to think.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was a couple, at least 2, possibly 3 months ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've got someone who's interested at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you know, I mean, and also I think I was saying we're not in a particular rush. So I think we're just after trying to find someone who's after that sort of size of investment. But I don't think our nurseries are probably suitable for a large chain.
We're not a large chain. We have 6 settings.
You're not, are you not? Right.
We have 6 settings.
Ah, right. Okay. Right. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're more than welcome to talk further.
So when you say you've got someone else who's interested, you have.
I say interested. You know, we're about. Our end of year was end of August,
okay.
And we're just finalising our accounts now. because there's been a number of invoices and things missing.
Sure.
Well, there always is at the end of our financial year, so it always drags out our end of year accounts quite to some length sometimes. So we've had a cracking year. I think the net profit's going to be in the region around about 80 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's 80 for the three settings.
Yeah, so 3 settings, and it's a business centre as well. So yeah,
That's right. Because I read that in the Blacks particulars, and I didn't quite understand. So you're selling a business centre business as well.
Basically, the nursery it's got 2 floors above it. We rent the whole building. It's got a nursery on the ground floor, and then we have 2 floors above the nursery, which has got currently 4 tenants. Now, I say the tenants. Well, they are tenants. They're on lease. They're on licenses.
Yes. Yes.
So the sub tenants, and they bring in an income of over £3,000 a month. Right.
Okay.
And which is great. We regularly get phone calls for wanting more office space, and now I've got an opportunity to extend it. Actually, it's a big old co-op distribution warehouse, Victorian distribution warehouse. It is actually nicer than it sounds.
Right.
Okay. I'm potentially going to actually convert some more space as well, so we can probably get another 2 tenants in there.
So, but you own the building or you lease the building?
No, we rent the building.
Right. Okay.
We rent the building from landlord, and he just lets us do whatever we want, really.
So I suppose
it's building regs and stuff.
So I suppose you're really looking for someone who's interested in buying nurseries and a business centre.
Potentially. I mean, their business centres doesn't actually really involve much work to someone who would be buying the business.
Sure.
If you just treat it as just an additional income.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with Blacks for?
Possibly just over a year, but I think that initially we did have some initial interest.
Sure.
But we'd actually, the year we put it up for sale, we'd made a loss. So because we put a lot of money into the business centre, getting that going, you see.
Right.
So I think for a lot of it was probably not the best timing, because as soon as people start seeing a loss, I mean, if you unpick the books, you can see there's great potential.
Well, to be fair, if you're putting money into sort of like a refurb of the business centre, that doesn't affect your profit and loss because it's a capital expenditure.
Well, but because we'd spent a lot and it wasn't our best year.
Oh, okay.
I think it all conspires.
Oh, I'm losing the signal. I'm losing you. Oh, you're back. You're back.
Yeah.
So I lost you for a few seconds there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So were you with another broker before Blacks?
No, we've not been with another broker. No.
Okay.
No.
So if the business has been on the market for a year, what do you think has held it back from selling?
I think if we were to sell them all 3 separately, that would probably be a better scenario for some people. I think the size of the business is a slightly tricky one, because I think we're in a bit of a no man's land, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If we're selling a nice 46 place nursery for I don't know, 180 grand, it's quite an accessible little business for a sole trader. But we've sort of like grown it to sort of like a size where we have a manager an area manager who flits between the 3 nurseries. And it brings us in a nice income now, or starting to, we're building that up.
Yes.
Of course, then for someone to invest $500,000 or thereabouts, which is what we've got it on the market for, not everybody has $500,000 to invest. But there's only really one of those nurseries, which is Nichols Nursery, which is probably your large chain type purchase, potentially, I suppose. I don't know. That's just my view of it. I mean,
no, that makes sense.
It's a cracking thing to sell, but they're bound to say that to me, aren't they?
Well, they are estate agents at the end of the day, so yeah. Okay.
I mean, from my point of view, from mine and Nicola, who's the other director, we get an income from it. We both take a wage. We get, obviously, the director's dividends every year, which are, pretty much the net profit in the great scheme of things. It pays my daughter a small wage as well for doing a bit of bookkeeping, which, to be fair, is perhaps just stretching the realms of reality.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah, you know what it is. But, I mean, again, it helps keeps our profits down. So from our point of view, and we're growing it. We're growing the business. Every year it's increased on its turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So
all of it. So it sounds like a business where you've got an area manager. You're not really involved very much, and there's an income for your daughter, and you take all the net profit as dividends. So why are you selling it?
Well, you're in the childcare industry. There's a lot of attached stresses and strains to being in that.
This is true.
And we're at a stage where we're looking to offload that. We have other niches we can, expand and get involved with, and invest that money in. So that's it really. We're looking at an out of the childcare industry, and from my perspective, if we're selling it at the point where it's doing its best and it's performing the best, and we don't actually need to sell it, I think that's probably the best time to sell. Let's move on, 10, 15, 20 years or whatever, and you're at a position where you really want to sell it, and you get your worst price for it, don't you?
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes I guess that happens.
So we're ready to have that conversation with people now, or at least over the next couple of years.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll get a better price for it, and hopefully the business is performing well at the time, and those things will align. And
what's your did you say 80,000 you're making?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment our accountant does his best to make sure we pay the least corporation tax. So, we do put extra things through the business and stuff, which keep things down. So, that's 80,000 net is, it's thereabouts. I don't think we've quite decided on that yet at the moment, because we're still finalising the books.
Okay.
But, yeah, there you go.
And do you bank with Santander?
We do, yeah.
And do you have an overdraft with them?
Well, we have, because of how we historically used to run the business, we used to have a bank account for each of the settings.
Yes.
So we've got 3 bank accounts. We are trying to consolidate that down to 1 bank account. So currently we have a Lloyd's business account, which has got a £5,000 overdraft.
Yes.
A Santander business bank account, which has got hang on a minute, I think it's got a £15,000 overdraft.
Yes.
And we have a corporate Santander account, which I think has got a £10,000 overdraft. We're not in any of those. We're in the black.
Okay.
And we spent all year in the black, to be fair. I think we dipped into it last month because, you know, you're always losing children, aren't you, in the August, September type period compared to July. So we've had a bit of a dip, but we're climbing back out. I think probably we might dip into it again when it comes to payday.
Okay.
Not in all three of the overdrafts, only in probably one of them, and then probably we won't enter it again next year. So
okay. So you lease all of your premises, is that right?
Yeah. Well, we lease the two premises, the Sweden and the nurseries. The third business is in a Sure Start centre, which we have on what do you call it now? It's like we have an agreement with Salford Authority to use a Sure Start centre. So I think that's on I'm not sure it's a yearly or a 2-yearly contract with them.
So you don't own any property in the company?
No, we don't own anything, no. They're all just leases.
I've got your accounts here, and I'm just curious as to what the assets are. £130,000. I thought that might be a property.
Oh, right, yeah. We've got... we do own a third of an acre building plot, which has got full building planning permission
okay.
That's mine and Nicola's personal. That's not included in the sale.
Because
included in the sale.
Because it's owned by the company.
Yeah, we'd remove it before.
Okay. And what's that got planning to build?
For a 80-place nursery.
So it's got a D1, has it?
Yes, it has. It's got full planning permission on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and that's in. It's sorry, I think I've lied to you there. It's not a third of an acre. I think it's a quarter of an acre plot.
Okay.
It's between a quarter and a third, I think.
But you got planning for a building to go up there? Yeah,
we've got planning for a full children's nursery on that piece of land, yeah.
How long have you had the planning for?
Well, the planning was due to lapse, so we had some initial foundations dug just so the planning didn't lapse.
So you got the planning about, 5 years ago then?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So the planning is protected from that point of view in that we started it, but whether whoever wanted to buy it would want to build it to the same plan as what we've got, you know, that's.
And can I ask why you haven't progressed it in the last few years?
Quite simply, initially we bought the land more or less at the same time as we took over the nursery in, obviously, and that it was a bit of a slow burn nursery, to be truthful, and it did take us to build it up for over about 3 years, and it's doing very well now. Quite proud of it now.
Okay, that's really good.
That's the prime reason, really. We've got, like I said, we've got the full planning in and all the to do it, and I'm actually in talks at the moment with a developer who is very interested in building it, but actually putting a new application in, but maybe so he can then put flats above the nursery.
Okay.
An alternative way of doing it, which brings the build cost down dramatically. Because I mean, have you ever gone down the route of having a nursery built from scratch?
No, like I said, we own 6 settings. You know,
it doesn't give much wiggle room. Basically, the cost for actually having it built, or shall we say turnkey? Turnkey is probably the best way. So actually have it built and, you know, fully fitted and open for business, you know, with all the furniture in. Before you know it, it's up to between 600 and 700 grand.
Wow.
But when you start I haven't got a clue how some of these like Kids Planets and stuff do that. I presume they've got that many investors and stuff. It's not as much of an issue, but
sure.
And then you take out a commercial mortgage for whatever amount to to pay for that long term, and it starts working out quite lumpy, that. So basically, I've become a little bit more risk averse than I used to be. So at the moment, we've got all of it in place. So we're looking for better, more economic ways of doing that.
Yeah.
The option
with a developer,
which is, to be fair, brings the bill cost down dramatically. So we're in conversations with a developer at the moment with that. So, but then there's the other option. I could just have it flats put on the ground floor.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Which could be a lot less hassle in some respects, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But,
I guess it would need a new planning application, wouldn't it? Because it wouldn't be D1 anymore.
Put a new planning application in, full stop. Anyway, to be fair, I think.
So let's talk about the nurseries, if we may. What in the details that Black sent over? It said that the leases were they're all leasehold, combined rent of 50,000 per annum, with 3 years remaining on the lease. So does that mean that in 3 years' time there isn't a business?
No, of course there is. The both landlords more than happy to. I could go in and see both the landlords and renegotiate long-term 15-year leases if you wished. If it was something you wanted to pursue, as in purchase of these businesses, wouldn't be a problem at all to sort that out. I could do that pre-sale if you.
Yeah, I think if we were to do something, I think that would be really important because clearly you don't want to buy a business where the landlord can kick you out in 3 years' time.
The only reason we took out the 7-year leases was
stamp duty.
Just me penny pinching at the time. To be fair,
I completely understand.
I think both the landlords would be very keen for the businesses to stay in those buildings long term.
Okay.
So they wouldn't have a problem there at all.
Okay, understood. So if you think, and I know you haven't finalised the accounts yet, but you think it's around about an £80,000 profit.
I'll have a nice lumpy corporation tax bill to pay.
Yeah, that's not so pleasant, is it? How do you feel that Black's calculated this £500,000? How do they get from 80,000 to £500,000?
Well, they start putting. I think they take out some of your directors' wages, don't they? And they put all sorts of other stuff back into the pot.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how they value it, isn't it? So,
have you got anything that you'd be able to send us that would show how they adjusted the profit? Because what you're just describing there with directors' salaries and things, completely right and completely understand, and I don't disagree at all. But it'd be good to have a list of what those items are, so we can see.
Yeah, is it EBITDA, isn't it? Is there certain things within the EBITDA calculation or something which they reintroduce and stuff? So, I mean, of course I can.
It'd be good to see because if we can understand the numbers behind the business, that would help us make a more informed decision.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, I would assume from the way things are going at the moment, our end-of-year accounts should be finalised within the next week or two.
Okay.
When I've got those, I'll send those across.
Great.
With whatever I can scrape together from. I'll have a conversation with Blacks and find out what they.
How they adjusted the profit,
accounts they pull
Yeah.
together. Because I think even when we first put the business on for sale with them, like I said, we made a small loss that year, and that's when they valued it at $500,000. So,
Really?
Working based on that, I think obviously, in theory, we've got a greater chance of selling it now we've made a profit.
Yeah, I mean, I find
You'd assume.
I find it strange how they could take a business that's not making a profit, but still make it hard. I don't know how they do that somehow. It's a
I haven't got a clue either.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we hopefully, with the way the nurseries are performing at this precise moment in time compared to how they performed this time last year and the year before, we're going to have an even better year this year.
That's really good.
We're happy with the way the business is going. I'm hoping once all this financial turmoil that's being caused by the Brexit stuff has settled down, perhaps we'll even have an even better year. So I'm hoping that if we don't sell it this year, there's going to be a greater chance of us selling it the year after. But all it takes is a dip in the birth rate and things like that, and some little things to come your way, and you can have a bad year, can't you?
Exactly. And was it your daughter who does the bookkeeping, did you say?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, she doesn't really, you mean?
No. She takes out. She does actually work in the nurseries just as a part-time member of staff, but she doesn't do £500 a month's worth of work for us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She's at that age where we put her through, and she helps with a few little bits, but she's got 3 horses, so it's a way of us reducing how much we pay on tax, to be fair.
Okay, no worries. So do you run...
Little businesses do stuff like that. So.
Which nursery management software do you use?
We don't. We use Xero.
For the accounts, but what about with occupancy and...
we do it all by hand.
Okay. So do you run any sort of management accounts every month to know how you did that month, profit or loss that month?
Yeah, you can only grab stuff historically from Xero, no problem, but we don't do anything on a monthly basis, no.
And how many of your children would you say are funded? Or fully funded, I should say.
We have a good number funded. I can definitely find that out for you. I mean, if you want to put a list of questions into the email for us, I could definitely send you some information across.
Okay. And what's your occupancy? What's your occupancy on each setting at the moment?
I've got that on a little spreadsheet that I did for November.
Okay, excellent.
And I can pull something across for you. We'll be doing the end of December, starting to do the December one soon.
Okay.
I think the preschool's full.
Right.
So that's on. Essentially, I think once you work out as an average for I think it's just below 100%. I think it's 90%.
Sure.
Something like that, because there's a couple of days where.
Of course, yeah. You never have 100%. Yeah.
Well, we do at the preschool usually. Usually end of spring, summer. And sometimes we end up over on the odd day because we often get the odd looked after child, which we have to take on. Luckily, because the numbers are only suggesting it's got a big outdoor space, we sort of like allow it to tip over in the summer month. The industry tends to get up towards 60-70% at least in the summer, and industry around about 60. The industry has had 100% occupancy in the past, but that was about 3 years ago. We've not managed to repeat that since.
Well, look. What I think the next steps would be, if we can get some questions over to you, and get those accounts when you have them.
Yes.
I have a colleague who would love to be shown round by you, and she can pretend, she's a mum or whatever really.
Yeah, could always arrange something like that. Yeah.
I was someone from an insurance company the other day when I was doing a viewing, so that would be really good. And what's your ideal timescale on this?
We're not in a rush at all. Like I say, it doesn't cause us. It's not much of a hassle to own the businesses. They do bring us stresses and strains to our front door. Like any industry in that, any business in that sort of industry. We've put up with it for quite a while now, but we would like to be released from having to worry about Ofsted and things like that,
and the legal obligations as well. I mean, these days,
me and my wife. I was an ex teacher. Nicola's always worked in the child industry, so we've been doing it for a long time. So another couple of years wouldn't kill us. Well, I'd like to think it wouldn't.
It's just that we're going to do some acquisitions in the first 6 months of 2020, and then we're going to give it a break for a year or so and come back maybe in 2022. So I was just trying to establish whether this is something that we'd put on our 2020 list or on our 2022 list.
Either could be fine. Ideally, we would like to sell it. That's why we've listed it.
Sure.
We want to sell it in the near future, and I see the near future within the next 2 years. Ideally, I think.
So when you listed it with Blacks, what if someone had come along in the first week and had said, "Let's do it now"? Would that have been too quick for you? Do you think?
No, not at all. I mean, we put it on because we're ready to sell.
Okay.
It was going back to that conversation I had before. We didn't want to be pressured into selling it, and I've seen that before happen to people I know, not necessarily in the childcare industry, where suddenly things have changed in their family for whatever reason, and suddenly they're selling the business and they've ended up selling it for a lot less. And one of the nurseries had a bad Ofsted, and it suddenly coincides with, I don't know, a family member being ill or something like that. Before you know it, you're selling it for,
true,
just somebody almost to take it over as a going concern for like 100 grand or something like that, or even less. So I think it's wise. I'm 50's coming closer. I think now.
Tell me about it.
Good time to sell, and then we still got time to do other things, which bring us money in, but we've got maybe a little bit more control over the whole situation.
So. Okay, I understand that. I realise we're going to understand from Blacks what they did to improve the profitability, but do you know what multiple they were using? Did they ever talk to you about that?
Yes, they did. But I don't recall it off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
Okay, no worries. We can find out.
I think they've said in the past, I seem to remember saying something like 4% is for big nurseries that are doing extremely well. But times it by 4, sorry.
Yes.
I think we were closer to, we're under 3.
Maybe like 2.75 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm dragging something up from quite a while ago now.
No worries, we can find out. But they're right. I mean, as soon as you get the big groups, it's like 4 times. There's different numbers. It's been really good talking to you, Gordon, and I appreciate your time on a Friday afternoon as well.
No problem, Jonathan.
So what we'll do on Monday, we'll send over an email to you and to Blacks. Obviously, you're paying them a fee, so we need to get them to do some work. We'll get them busy, keep them busy, and maybe I can arrange then for one of my colleagues to meet up with you.
Yeah, well, I think once you get those up to date accounts and things,
and
take it from there. Yeah, when you know that what you're playing with properly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, not a problem at all.
Lovely.
I'll be really clear. I'm really open on anything, any question.
I can tell that, yeah.
I can't answer every question sometimes, and if it's moving forward, you're more welcome to meet the accountants and stuff. Who'll
absolutely
definitely be able to put more light on stuff than me. But not a problem at all.
Lovely. Okay, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Gordon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. He's pretty good at playing the game of he's not really that bothered and he's not in a rush. But you don't put your business on the market unless you want to sell it. And usually when people put their business on the market, they would like to sell it the next day if they could. So you've got to take all that with a pinch of salt. But strategically, this could be quite interesting. I think it probably wasn't interesting before, but now we've got another one, which is literally, I checked on Google Maps 5 minutes down the road. Then it could be quite good. They're all within a few miles of each other, which is excellent. But hopefully that call was useful. I guess the most useful teaching part of that would be that some people are actually quite good negotiators. They don't give a lot away. But it was nice to know that his expectations are quite low on that, because all we have to do now is to demonstrate that the profit's lower than the broker says it is, multiply it by the multiple that we've agreed. Let's say it is 2.75 or 3 times, because I'm very happy to pay 3 times. Very happy to pay 3 times because I can't really go wrong on 3 times actually. It's just 3 times what? And we need to make that profit figure as sensible as possible, so that the 3 times is a correct and accurate number. So hopefully you found that useful. Thank you.